one wrong move and you're trending for all the wrong reasons.
Today we're unpacking a conversation about cancel culture. What does it really take to bounce back from criticism online?
Keep filming, keep leaning forward, keep failing, because nothing comes from success, everything comes from failure.
Welcome to the Social Edge podcast. I'm Georgia.
And I'm Ishu.
And today we're unpacking a conversation about cancel culture.
Cancel culture is everywhere. One wrong move and you're trending for all the wrong reasons.
So let's get into it.
Let's dive into it. We'll unpack this conversation. I think this is an interesting conversation for people to perhaps lean into and be a little bit open-minded about. A lot of controversial opinions here. So tell me, what do you think, what is cancel culture and how does it affect perhaps personal brands, businesses?
Yeah, so we want to talk about personal brands and businesses and bouncing back from cancel culture, but we also want to talk about cancel culture as a concept and should it even be a thing?
That's it.
Right?
That's it, absolutely.
So, what does it really take to bounce back from criticism online? So cancel culture is the top end.
Yeah.
So we see that with celebrities and people who have a big following.
Yeah.
But at the lower end, people might receive criticism online and then they might lose their following.
That's it.
Or lose their audience.
Yeah.
So how do people bounce back? How can businesses bounce back? And how can we keep moving forward? But also, how can we try to avoid that level of criticism online, or
Absolutely.
be prepared to take it if you're going to put out something that's controversial, for example.
Absolutely. I think it's also about standing your ground, isn't it? A lot of times when people begin to work on their personal brand or your business or their business or their mission, their vision, whatever it may be, oftentimes, like we talked about on one of our other episodes about your authenticity, is like, how much are you going to communicate authentically your message in a way that doesn't get you cancelled.
Yeah.
So a lot of people would sometimes say certain things to seem good and appear in a certain light, but actually their core value in terms of what they really want to say is portrayed differently so they don't get cancelled.
So being authentic to avoid being cancelled in the first instance is always going to be good, because then if it's really your view, you can stand by it. So
absolutely.
I think let's get into some of the questions around cancel culture in relation to social media and branding, and then we can unpack sort of the concept as a whole.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk a little bit about what does it take to get cancelled. I think this is one point that we've seen with previous clients, especially with these studios. We've had a lot of people kind of question, hey, am I truly portraying everything that I stand for and I say? And in many ways, it takes boldness to step into that. So how personally would you say, have you had this experience with your personal brand perhaps, and also with clients? Yeah.
I think the thing is, there's a lot of people who are putting out content online, and if you're trying to portray something that you're not, or something that you can't sustain, you're always going to struggle to sustain it. You're always going to struggle to keep up that image. Whereas, like you said, with authenticity, if you're being authentic to yourself and what you can deliver and the results that you can drive, you're going to be able to keep repeating that message, and it's not going to be hard.
Yeah.
I think what you also were saying is really important, because if you ever do have an opinion that's controversial, for example, there's so many opinions on the internet. Like, for example, the famous Molly-Mae quote about the 24 hours in the day.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Now, I don't want to sort of trigger that whole conversation, but there was one argument that was like, well, what she's saying in the context of how she's saying it, and her life and her perspective on a specific topic, that was a fair comment. But she said that, and she got cancelled for not having an outlook that considered the whole world and every single person's economic circumstances, etc., etc., etc. Now, she didn't get fully cancelled. She managed to bounce back from that comment, but she did take a bashing online,
That's
right?
it.
And the thing is, should that have happened? One. And two, I think in those situations, I think what Molly did in that moment was she apologized. A lot of people in these situations, they'll apologize because they want to show that they never intended to offend.
Yeah, and they're empathetic,
and
right?
then they say what they were trying to say. That can cause a spiral effect for these celebrities.
Sure.
For people we're working with, like businesses, who have a following, people with personal brands who have a following. I think the important thing is that, and this is my view, is that as individuals, as human beings, we have an interest in and we are entitled to learn and develop. So as humans, no one is born with all the answers. We have to constantly learn, we have to constantly develop, we have to constantly grow. And if we're not open to developing, growing as individuals and learning new things, how as a world can we develop
and evolve,
right? How like things that were right 50 years ago, 100 years ago are not right today because society, humanity has evolved and we've learned that that's no longer okay, or we've decided that that's not the best way to do things. Like, because it's my personal circumstance right now, take like motherhood, right?
Yes.
There were things that like my parents' generation did, your parents' generation would have done.
Yeah.
In terms of raising a child, which now due to research studies, learnt studies, scientific developments, we now know that maybe that wasn't the best thing that you could do for a child. So as a result, the guidance has developed, evolved and changed.
Yeah.
In 30 years ago, an opinion would have been valid because that was backed by the society expectations and the research at that time.
Right.
But looking at that today, it's not going to be the same. So that's why cancel culture can be so damaging to development, because it's stopping people from growing and learning, because people need to be able to grow and learn and understand and accept fault and change their opinion. Like my opinions on things change every day. So will yours, because you might listen to a podcast or listen to something and or hear something or read something and suddenly you're informed about something that you didn't have an opinion on before, or you might have had one opinion, you learn something new and you go, and that changes your opinion.
That's it.
If we just keep like holding people to their opinions, like that they can't evolve and they can't change, then how do we as a world grow? And the problem with social media, obviously, is, and I'm someone who loves social media, but this is the sort of dark side of social media, is that when someone has an opinion or when someone puts something out there, oftentimes you see like this trolling can happen or people disagree and like
all the keyboard warriors, right? Coming
the
out.
keyboard warriors. Like, I just want to put this like out here. This is a really funny example. When a couple of years ago I was like traveling a lot, I was traveling around Switzerland and I went to the top of I think it's pronounced Jungfrau, which is the like tallest peak in Switzerland that you can scale. It's not the tallest peak in Switzerland, it's the tallest peak that you can go up.
Awesome.
And there was like a fact somewhere up there on like a billboard that said it was like the highest point in Europe. What it meant was it was the highest point you could scale.
Yeah.
I put up a TikTok. Here I am at the highest point in Europe. This girl, honestly, she was commenting and she was like, it's not the highest point in Europe though. And I was like, oh, it's the highest like scalable point.
Yeah, scalable point.
But she was like, well, why are you putting content out there if it's incorrect? And it's like, I was like, well, you've just corrected me and taught me something. Yeah. So now I'm informed and I'll tweak the caption. Do you know what I mean? But
what's that also done then is like next time you want to post something,
you feel almost anxious, right? Yeah.
And you probably have more kind of space to get things wrong because you're now fact checking everything. Yeah. And by the time you're probably so-called politically correct,
well, this is the problem, isn't it? Because, and I think this is the problem that maybe our clients might face, or businesses who are trying to build their brand online. Yeah. There's so much anxiety because of how people have responding and the growth of the cancel culture style of interactions, that people are afraid to put anything out, or afraid to take a stand, or
to fail,
or almost. To fail, to put themselves on the virtual stage because they're thinking, oh, but I don't want to face the backlash. So like, how do we help people overcome that challenge? And what's our sort of advice to people? Like, look at that travel example. Okay, I'll be honest, I was a little bit like in that moment when this girl was going wild on my TikTok, and I'm not like a massive travel blogger. I was just doing it whilst I was traveling, but it did upset me a little bit because I was like, oh, I've really offended this random person I've never met before because I got this fact wrong and I wanted to correct it. But then I was like, oh, and it made me a little bit anxious. Now that doesn't matter because that's not my, my bread and butter. But for someone who it is their bread and butter, it is what they're all about. It can feel intimidating and targeted. So how do we help people be encouraged to keep standing by their opinion? There's a whole free speech conversation in this, which we'll come to. But what would be your advice to a client that it says, hey, this is my opinion. This is what works for me. I want to help people do the same. This is how we help do it. But we keep facing all this backlash online. People are saying, take an example, like someone who's a trader, or take someone who's like businesses around helping people grow their finances. Well, there's a whole load of people online who say it's not all about money, so they're going to post all that kind of stuff. Now, that's fine. That's their opinion. But it doesn't mean that their opinion's right and the other person's opinion's wrong. It's just a difference of opinion. So how do we help people navigate this challenge?
That's a great question. I think one of the biggest things that I always try and do is find my people. Number one is find the people that understand and want to follow the same vision that you're trying to drive forward. That's number one, because you will always have a circle of people that will encourage and motivate, right? Give an example. You and I were running eStudios. There are so many other video marketing agencies out there. So many people are doing similar things. Market is, saturated in many ways.
Yeah.
And you and I could sit down and go, well, everybody else is doing it. How are we going to do it? Or we can go, what are you and I able to do and contribute and show another side and another way of doing it? But more than that, practically keep filming, keep leaning forward, keep failing, because nothing comes from success. Everything comes from failure. What I like to say to our team, and you've heard me say this before, is keep failing forward. How quickly can you do something, short feedback loop, for you to realize, okay, what is the one thing that I'm continuously doing wrong to be able to learn? And what comes out of that is, if we put it in social media terms, is if you're posting a reel time and time and time again, and you're not seeing engagement, you want to go and look at your analytics. If people are responding negatively to your comments, you don't want to brush it or delete them. You want to think, okay, what didn't that person spending time watching my reel not understand? What didn't they grasp? How can I better communicate it, right?
Yes.
And being able to create feedback loops in a way that you go, I don't know everything. And one of the things that I love about myself is that in my mind, I go, nobody knows anything. Everybody is trying to learn. The thing that they're in. And one of the things that I posted this morning, actually, in our channel at work, and I just want to very quickly read it, is I saw this morning, Alex Hormozi posted this. He says, winners are defined by what they make happen, and losers are defined by what happened to them.
I saw this as well.
Right? So it's like, are you going to be somebody that stops and goes, well, it's just what it is, and I'm just going to keep posting, and people either understand it or not, or you're going to look back and go, I truly believe in this. What is another better way of me to communicate that?
That is so good. And like you said, you might not be the whole world's cup of tea.
That's it.
But you've got to find your following, your community, and you're going to talk to them, right? So the content you're putting out, your reels, your YouTube videos, you're targeting it towards your intended target audience. Also, you've got your unique selling point. And you're going to drive that to that people group who are going to get behind you and support you. And yet you may face some backlash.
Which is okay.
But if you're firm on your belief and you're firm on your process, you're firm on your whatever you're trying to sell or do, and you're being authentic about it, then you have to just keep going. And it's that sort of just keep going, keep running the race, don't give up. But I sort of liked what you were going on that conversation point, because I think one of the things that can trip people up is that they might feel that if they're facing backlash, and there's that phrase, isn't there, like any press is good press. But if they're facing backlash, are they wrong? What would you say about that? Like, if someone's you've just spoke about like being willing to evolve, and maybe communicate in a different way, or say sorry if you've offended someone. How can we like keep an openness to evolving and developing, but not get sort of stuck on that idea that you're wrong?
I think one of the things that I can't seem to fully understand is like some people feel that they can go through life and just not get offended. You can't go through life thinking I just want to not get offended, right? Offense is good. Offense is...
it shows you've got a moral compass if you get offended.
Exactly. And just because you got offended doesn't mean I shouldn't communicate the thing that I believe in. We can take politics, we can take faith beliefs, we can take, environmental perspectives, anything, right? So I'm sure you and I agree on many things, but perhaps there are things that you and I don't quite align on.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you're wrong, I'm right, or vice versa. It just means, hey, I want to sit down and hear you out. Whether I understand you at the end of the conversation and I agree with you, it doesn't matter, but it's taking the time to go, hey, let me hear you out.
Yeah.
Let me see what that is. And I feel many people come into the online space thinking about what is my one thing that I'm going to do. And a lot of people actually are the keyboard warriors, are the people that don't have anything productive to get done. So they're tearing people down.
Yeah.
Right? The whole thing about Molly-Mae, what I love there is you said, she came in with perhaps a good heart, good mind to share about it. But then somebody thought, but she had a silver spoon.
Yeah.
She had the opportunity. And it's like, I get that perspective, but at the same time, she has a circle of people and an audience that she wants to target that perhaps another individual in another space in life wouldn't have.
Yeah. That's so right. And I think as well, it's like, whilst the comment of, but she came from this is true.
Yeah.
It doesn't, therefore, in her context and circumstance, make her wrong. That's her perspective. Mm-hmm. So, like, let's just look at that, right? Yeah. This is the thing, right? When we think about cancel culture and what we were sort of unpacking at the start by saying it stunts the development of humanity to just say that you've said this one thing that's wrong, therefore you're cancelled, and not allowing anyone that room for growth. Yeah. Everyone should be entitled to that room for growth. Yeah. That is what free speech is all about.
Absolutely.
Okay, there's limits to that. Hate speech, anything that's criminal. But beyond that, opinion related. Obviously, the US recently, there's been a new president, President Trump. Yeah. Huge debates across the world as to whether you're for Trump, against Trump. Yeah. And there's people who will just not engage in that conversation because they don't want to be seen to offend. Now, the reality is anything political, you have a right as a human being to have a political opinion. And so if you're just going to hate someone because of their political opinion, then I think it says more about the person with the problem than the person with the opinion. Absolutely. Because you're not allowing that individual to disagree with you. Yeah. You're not allowing that individual the right to exercise their freedom of speech, their freedom of mind, freedom of thinking, freedom of thought, freedom of belief. You're not allowing them to exercise a human right to come to a conclusion of their own. So, but bringing that back to social media then, social media, if you're trying to grow your brand, your business, you're trying to grow on the online space, how do you position yourself, one, in a safe way to sort of avoid criticism where it's not necessary, but two, how can you combat this thing if you do face criticism online? How can you navigate that? And I think we've sort of touched on this, but let's just bring it into land. I want to unpack it a little bit more. And this is something we talked about in one of our earlier episodes, is bring people on the journey. Yeah. I think we post a lot on the grid, the reels, the perfect cuts, the perfect edits, but not many people spend time to bring your audience into your stories, into, hey, what does day-to-day look like? What is it for you, for example, if you're working on your personal brand with being a mom, what does the morning look like? A day in a life. That's a great trend. Yeah. People or at can work, business, whatever it may be, just being able to bring people in and go, hey, Monday, I had a long weekend. Actually, it wasn't restful. This is what my Monday looks like. Wednesday is like, the team very excited, blah, 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 whatever it may be. Just bringing people on. And with that, the audience will actually catch, wait a minute, this person is a human. Yes. And they do have their touch points,
but they also are striving and trying to be better, and they come with a different attitude. For example, as we came in today to film, like I had a very long weekend. If I look at my energy today, I'm probably at a 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And, I would love to be at a 10, but still I'm here going, my mind now is about how can I get the best out of today, because I can't change my energy, right? But I can position myself in a way that's going to be, how can I be effective with the team, with our clients that we have, with the interactions, with the social media, and just bringing people to see that. And that will create value for people to go, oh, actually, I'm going to listen to what Issue says next time on our reels. Or when he does a call to action for us to maybe be encouraged and motivated to move in a business direction in some way, shape, or form, the point of so-called sale on that thought is much higher.
Yeah.
Because they've already seen, oh, he's not just saying it for the sake of saying it. He's living every single day.
If you're a personal brand now, we're talking. So like make sure that what you're putting out is what you really stand for. It's authentic. You can back it up.
Yes.
But the second thing is, and this is like a strategy I've helped clients do, is you can set the expectations for your audience of who you are, what you do, and what you're delivering. But you don't have to present an image like you're the finished piece of work, because no human being on this earth is. No. So you don't need to, you're not going against the grain by doing that. But the way you tweak your language to show that you're evolving, that you're developing, that you are growing with whatever your sphere of influence is, or whatever your perfect sort of area that you're trying to target is, if you can keep people knowing that you're on a journey and you're learning yourself as you go and you're finding new ways, then I think that can also support that whole idea, because then people are a bit more open to the fact that your opinion may change. And you can just caveat things. Caveating things is a great tactic, right?
100%.
So you can just say, so at the moment, I really feel this way. If you if you were someone who wanted to put out strong opinions, you could just say, and by the way, it is helpful to have opinions on social media, because it helps grow your brand, because people know that you actually stand for something, and then they can either get behind you or come against you.
Yes.
But it is good to take a stand on whatever it is that you're talking about.
Yes.
But you can do that in a way that is thoughtful of people who disagree with you, the way you communicate it, the language you use. And obviously, if you're working with someone like that, us will help you do that. And you can kind of create it to be in an open space so that people can take the opinion, they can hold it, they can either agree with it or disagree with it, and it doesn't cause that backlash. But equally, there are things you can do online now, YouTube, Instagram, you can put keyword sensors and stuff. Obviously, because of the trolling that goes on social media, the platforms have optimized themselves and they've added these features to prevent this. So if you feel that there is a risk of hateful comments, you can actually, in YouTube, in Instagram, Facebook, via Meta, you can put the keywords in and then that you think people are going to comment. So let's take someone who does this in the celeb world. So Selena Gomez.
Shout out.
Yeah. Shout out to Selena. But she puts up posts and they'll have 10 comments. So she's obviously put loads of keywords and she's obviously blocking the comments. Or you can limit the comments, you can turn off comments. If things start to get out of hand, you can turn off the comments. That's a really good tactic. So absolutely. I've seen people doing that. We've had a client before. So let's talk about our experience. We had a client before.
Yes.
Put out a post. He was in the NFL space. He put out a post and the post kind of went viral and received good comments, bad comments. And the thing was, we kind of weighed up what was the position. And in that sphere, NFL football, you're always going to have differences of opinion and strong ones because people are supporting their football team, right? So people had strong opinions about his opinions and they were just boom, boom, boom with the comments. Now, if there were comments that were just unnecessary and hateful, we have the right to delete those. Do you know what I mean? There's no need for you to keep those hateful comments on your page. You can delete them, you can censor them, you can use these keywords, things to make sure that they're getting automatically deleted by the platform. But there were some comments that were just disagreements that we were actually, it's helpful to have that because it was pushing the post further. Sometimes these controversial posts will go further online because you are going to get people from both angles.
And it shows character almost for the other person to go, hey, I'm going to allow you to converse with me on my platform.
Yeah.
Within reason to show other people that actually you can come and say, hey, I don't quite agree with you. Okay, cool. Let's talk about it.
Well, let's just talk about that.
Yeah.
Like you said, I'm going to let you come into my platform and converse with me. So we all have profiles, right?
Yeah.
So and our clients have profiles. So you have your page. So you have your Instagram profile, your Instagram page. You have your YouTube channel. Now, if people start to comment on them and you're not happy with those comments, technically, you are the owner of that page.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, you have the right to monitor and manage that page. So if you don't like what's being put on there in terms of the comments, you can delete the comments and you can block the individual. So that's actually really powerful in the hands of the person with the opinion. I don't think that needs to be like the whole other end of the spectrum, which is like, I'm just going to put out whatever I want in the world. I'm going to turn off comments and I'm not going to be willing to listen to anyone's things. Like that's a whole other end of the spectrum, obviously. But I think there's room to say, you know what, I'm talking to this niche audience. You know, there's people, I've seen people online who like, they have like the same person keeps following,
oh my gosh,
keeps commenting on all their posts really negatively, sending them direct messages. And I remember seeing someone, I can't remember who it was, but they put stories up, they blocked out the like image and said like, I can't understand why this person's even following me because they disagree with everything I put up. They've literally made it their goal to just bash this person on social media. And it's like, one, obviously get a life, but two, like you obviously feel really strongly about it. You obviously disagree with all their viewpoints. Why are you following them?
That's it.
You know, so
but here's the other thing. If we were to flip it, then you can really, as the content creator, you can also take that negative feedback and do all of the removing, maybe blocking the comments, all that sort of stuff. But you can actually take this and turn it into a piece of content and go, okay, I've noticed a little bit of my audience is not quite getting what I'm saying. Let's address it in a video, in a reel, in a live, Instagram live, and go, hey guys, recently I've started posting about this, that, and the other. I thought it'd be really helpful for us to, for me to really clarify what I mean, what my heart behind this is.
Yeah.
And often you can turn an audience around because we can really get lost in text communication. Because you don't have tone of voice, you don't see energy, you just see words and a perspective, and that's not often enough to really understand what's being said and how it's interpreted. So you can really grab that piece of content and go, okay, some of my followers have come back with a little bit of, not sure, I don't agree. Okay, hey guys, next Thursday I'm doing an Instagram live, jump on, I'll answer any questions that you have, unpack certain topics. That is a great opportunity for you to really see, okay, maybe I'm not communicating, my message is not clear.
Yeah.
Right?
And there's like the Ask Me Anything feature, right? Like, you know, people will like put up a Ask Me Anything and people will respond to their stories. That's a great way to get people engaging with you. And then you can put out a response that you feel comfortable with, having like considered it with your team, etc. And that can be really helpful.
Yes.
I think we've used that with clients before to help like communicate a viewpoint. And that can be really powerful. So let's go into this question. Can you bounce back from being overly criticized online, facing these sort of comments, or being, at worst case, cancelled? Can you bounce back? And let's just like break it down into a few different areas. So owning up versus over apologizing. You said about this, like, and we talked about Molly-Mae, she like apologized, but she obviously had a PR team. They gave us a firm statement, but like, what's the difference between going, yeah, I own up, but maybe I communicated that in the wrong way, but I still stand by my viewpoint, versus like maybe falling into the trap of like over apologizing and then being bashed more. Like,
I think it's so important to show empathy online and really recognize how you make people feel.
Yeah, so a simple sorry can carry so much weight.
Absolutely, but it shouldn't be too much to the point where then you're controverting and you go, actually, I'm going to fold. And just because I've offended you, I've upset you, I'm just going to go a different direction.
So it's about standing your ground a little bit.
Absolutely.
If that's still your view.
100%. And you can still communicate that in a way that is, hey, I hear where you're coming from. I understand. I'm not sure, like fully in agreement with, your point of view, but it's totally okay for you to have your point of view and for me to have my point of view. And at the end of the day, you don't have to watch the content. You don't have to follow. You don't have to engage with it, and find your audience that perhaps you agree with and you want to be a part of.
And let's just flip this a little bit now, because like some of the clients we work with are businesses providing services online, or like they're a service-based business and they have like digital products, etc. Now, we've spoken about this, but someone might buy your digital digital product online, and then they may just think, oh, actually, I don't see the value in this.
Yeah.
So for every 5 people who see value, there's one that doesn't see the value. So they complain, they start posting comments online about how bad it is. They do a chargeback. What does that mean? Because that actually comes back to this sort of same sort of area of like criticism. And you can see that taking place online. Sometimes same with reviews, right? Bad reviews. How can we encourage people? Because just because you get a bad review or someone, it doesn't resonate with someone doesn't put the value in it, doesn't mean you're a bad business, a bad service. It might just mean that it wasn't that person's cup of tea. How would you encourage a client in that?
I think going back to the beginning of the conversation is like keep falling forward. You have to be testing and checking and rechecking and looking over everything that you do to the point where you are ensuring value is delivered to an extent.
And
right?
if maybe something they've raised is relevant, like a relevant comment, a relevant review, something went wrong, you can fix that process. That's what you're saying, right? So
Absolutely.
From an operations perspective, you can take every review, every bad comment, every bad feedback, and you can say, feedback loop.
That's it.
You can pop that back in the chain and go, it's actually, whilst we disagree with this, and this element, actually, we could improve that. So again, it's that evolution of like yourself, your business, your services, keep falling forward, keep developing. Because if we do that, criticism, reviews, bad press, like bad presence online, like all these different things actually are all to help us to grow, to get better, to evolve. So actually what we're kind of getting to in this conversation is not, as the saying goes, not all bad press is bad. What we're saying is actually, if you're facing some criticism in your business on the online space, can you utilize that to develop your business, grow your business, develop your services, develop your ideas if it's your personal brand, and maybe don't be defensive. Rather than straight away jumping to say sorry or straight away to go on the defense online, maybe just pause, take a breather, review the comment. If it's like hateful, delete it. If it's actually constructive, maybe you can just take that away, speak with your team if you're a business, or have a little talk with, like if you're working with someone like us, you can talk with us. If you're working solely on your own, have a little think, take that time and consider maybe where there's something that you can address, something that you can take to your followers, like you said, by doing like a video or a live or something, sharing why you've reached that point of view.
I think,
and just be willing to take it on board.
That's it. And I think one of the important things I want our viewers to really take in, if anything you take away from this podcast, I really want you to take this point away, is every single day you're building credibility. And credibility is everything. People follow individuals who have done it, failed, and done it again successfully. So oftentimes we've had many clients before, and I've had other experiences where people have posted on YouTube, posted on Instagram, and for the first 6-8 months, year, 2 years, they haven't seen a particular increase of viewership or following, but then something then with that momentum and credibility building clicks, because then their audience goes, oh my gosh, this guy has stayed consistent. He has gone over it again and again and bettered it a little bit more and a little bit more. I am now ready to commit, which also is another point I want to touch on, is oftentimes people will give you negative feedback based on their reflection of their flawed commitment.
Oh, so good.
Okay, so oftentimes if we, let's say...
like an online course or something.
Or here it is for $9.99, whatever, free course, you're going to get XYZ from it. Well, you buy it, you go, okay, it's pretty cheap, nothing too crazy. You open it and it requires you to do maybe 3 months of actual work, filming, building a process, whatever, and you go, oh, that seems too much. You're not going to go, oh, it's on me, I don't want to do it. You're probably going to go, how do I get my money back?
Yeah.
Right? So it's the commitment of which your audience either has or doesn't have that can often affect the way they come across to your audience.
I love that. And I think that's exactly it. I think, and so what we're trying to say to people is try not to take too much offense.
That's it.
Be pragmatic, level-headed about the response. I want to bring something up which sort of links to the question I asked. So, my initial question was about bouncing back. And one of the things, I listened to a podcast recently, it was Diary of a CEO, and the guest on it was this woman. The name has escaped me, but she was fantastic. And she's a childhood expert. Now, she had very firm opinions on certain things. Obviously, it resonated with me listening to this podcast. And there were some things that I listened to that I was like, wow, I'd never thought of it like that. So she challenged me in my thinking on certain things and like reaffirmed some of my thinking on other things. Now, she said things in that episode that were seen as controversial. Even Stephen Bartlett said to her, like, some of your opinions are going to ruffle people up the wrong way kind of thing. And she said like something along the lines of like, I don't need people to like me, but she kept referring to her opinions, but her opinions were based on scientific evidence and fact.
Proof.
She had proof. She had studies to support all of her opinions. Nothing she said was just an opinion. It's all backed by science. And she said, unfortunately, it's the inconvenient truth. She said, the inconvenient truth is this. Now, I thought, wow, what a great way to do it. So she's basically saying to the world, I really care about children and the development of children, and I want to make sure that the world realizes that how we've been doing it is wrong and how we should do it is like this. She then was backing up her opinions, although controversial, by saying, well, this is the inconvenient truth.
That's it.
It's inconvenient because you don't agree with it. Well, it's also the case, therefore, with clients who, if you've got a business and you've got an online digital product, and like you said, it requires effort from the part of the person purchasing it, and they just don't want to do it, or they give up, or for what X, Y, and Z, it doesn't produce the results they want. Well, the inconvenient truth for them is that, well, unless you're willing to put in, you're not going to get out. We've had it with clients where we're a done-for-you social media agency, right? We do everything from strategy. We come up with content ideas. We do all the posting. We take everything away from our clients and we make it as easy as possible
for them
do
one thing
so that they can focus on growing their business. But the one thing we need from them, if they want to have that digital presence online, they want to grow, they want to utilize video, we need them to send us video content, whether that's something they've recorded in a podcast, whether that's them filming the content we give them the ideas for. We do need them to give us that. Otherwise, we're going to just work off what we've got, which is less. Now, clients have said to us after months and months and months of not giving us any content, well, I'm not growing. Well, the inconvenient truth is that whilst we're handling everything for you, you need to be a part of the journey and you need to play your part in that. So if you want us to blow you up on social media, as the phrase is, we need you to do very little, but you need to do that little, play that part. That's the inconvenient truth. So that we can grow you. We don't mind if you want to do it in the most convenient way to you possible. And if worst case scenario, if you just send us videos of you sat at a laptop working, we'll make it work. Whatever you want to do, we will make it work for you. But the inconvenient truth is that the more you put in, the more you'll get out. It's not that we want you to do it all, but if you're going to give us content, it's like, how can you expect to truly grow?
Absolutely. It's almost
every business is different, but that's a lot of the thing we face with personal brands. And I think that's interesting. So coming back to the bouncing back, because I think I went off piece a little bit, but it's linking back. If you have an inconvenient truth, or even if it's not science-backed truth, but your truth, that's your inconvenient opinion. It might be inconvenient to some people. That's fine, right? Okay. But if you want to stand your ground, as long as it's not hateful, as long as it's not like, any of those buzzwords that falls around hate speech, then therefore you should be able to stand your ground on that opinion and back it up for whatever reason.
So long also it's not lukewarm.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's very important when you're coming out, building an audience, you can be lukewarm with opinions. You can't. It's not a good idea just to say anything unless
you're firm on it. Yeah.
Because then very quickly, we're talking about progress, maybe where I was 3 years ago to where I am now. I've changed a lot with my opinion, my perspective on things because I've grown. But if you go really lukewarm into it and every week you're just spitfiring different opinions and different thoughts and people are like all over the place with, hold on, last week you believed this, this week you're saying that, nobody's going to stick because they don't really
that's going to come back to your character and whether people can fully trust in you.
Exactly.
So I think there's room for a change of opinion. If you ever find yourself pop an opinion out online and then people challenge you, there's that whole empathy piece where you realize, even if you still stand by your opinion, you realize how it could have hurt people or could have offended people. And you acknowledge with empathy that you never meant to cause any harm. How can someone then go about rebuilding trust? Maybe they can, just like what you were saying, I suppose, it's like on the flip side, you can rebuild trust by your actions speaking louder than words. So if you are apologetic in that opinion, you can just keep maintaining that thing. I don't want to give too much credit to this, but there's a lot of people online with really strong opinions that have grown massive followings that don't align with a lot of people's opinions. I'm not even going to mention the names because I don't want it to have any push on our podcast. But the point is, they do have a following of people who agree with them.
Well, I think we live in a world that prefers negativity more to success and positivity and life. I think it's much easier. I mean, we can go back to the conversation in one of the other episodes where there are certain people that just loved being the victim, having victim mentality and having somebody come and say, oh, it's okay, I'm really sorry, and just nurturing them in that way because they just love the attention. I think, unfortunately, that's the world we live in. Is it going to get better soon or worse? I think it all depends on how much faithful truth and research people do on topics, conversations, direction every single day. Not like make informed decisions, communicate informatively in a way that makes you draw people in and help them understand, because not everybody knows.
Or progressively, like you're trying to determine it. Like we're not here sat here talking about cancel culture like we're experts. We're talking about it in terms of how
what we've experienced,
experienced it, what we've seen, what are our viewpoints on it, but in a way that's open to being critiqued or being told, actually, guys, I would say this, and we'd be like, oh, okay, that's another viewpoint. So I think what someone could do is they could pivot. So if they make a catastrophic mistake online, like say they put something out and they even realize, oh my gosh, what did I do? You can apologize. You can own it. You can say, you know what? Following reading everyone's comments, maybe I had a lapse in judgment. I didn't consider X, Y, and Z. And as a result, my view has changed.
Yes.
And I do now align with this viewpoint. And one thing I saw that someone did and you can do is like pivoting your brand narrative. So you basically turn the controversy into a comeback.
Strong.
So you basically are like, you know what? I was wrong about this. Come back with a punchy piece of content as to why you were wrong and why you now stand behind this new viewpoint. That's a good way to do it.
I want to give you a line as well. Your pain will either be your prison or it will be your platform. It's kind of your choice to look at that and go, what story am I going to tell? Because again, it comes back to you building a brand and evolving your personality. So really look back and think your pain will either be your prison or your platform. That issue, that challenge, that failure, that thing that you communicated wrong, it will be your prison or be your platform.
Love it.
I think that's a great way to close this episode.
Yeah.
We have a lot of more content coming up. Some exciting, really controversial topics that we're going to bring in. A lot of other great conversations. I really want you guys on the back of this episode to go and check out episode on authenticity, because it really will go hand in hand with this episode and help you perhaps move in a great direction. Yeah,
we want to encourage you that if you're trying to find your space online and you're trying to build your brand, for your business or yourself as an individual, know that you have room to grow. You have room to develop. And, you know, if you need someone to help you navigate that, we're right here.
That's it.
But other than that, wishing you a great week, and we'll see you next time.
See you on the next one.